Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Jim Fuse with Fusion Marketing, and I'm joined today by my guest, Jeff Dwoskin, who is really, you guys are gonna enjoy this conversation. He is the CEO of Social Stampede, and believe it or not, folks, he's actually a comedian as well. And I had no idea. We were talking about this before the show. Uh, how talented he is. He does a great job with his company, with his sidekick Robin, his wife, and as he said, the beauty of the operation. And he says he's the brains, but we'd have to ask her. We'll see what she thinks of that. But excited to be here today because we're going to talk about how to leverage Instagram, and this is something that I think is a very important platform. Jeff has had quite a bit of success with his company on that, and has a podcast that he interviews some pretty amazing people. So, Jeff, let's turn it over to you and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Absolutely. First of all, it's Stampede Social. Not to correct
Oh,
the host. Hey, it's I know. You probably always are like, why can't it be the Jim and Tim show? And I get it. You're always switching words around. It makes sense. So
that's right.
do we have any time left? I mean, after the intro was like what 15 minutes. My goal now is just to be interesting enough that when you redo the montage, somehow I make it in. So I'm gonna do
There you
like
go.
that. That would be good for the montage, like when you redo. Hey, there we go. Anyway, so sorry, that was my journey. My journey is I've always been involved in the digital space. I was one of those folks that at the begin in the late 90s, I was only 6, but like in the late 90s, I started one of the first internet marketing companies in Michigan, and that got acquired by a company out of California. So early on in the days of gray backgrounds, if you were back then in the web, you know what I'm talking about, and just audio players, T1s in every building. It was we were doing web sites for big companies like the Blue Cross Blue Shield and all that kind of stuff. And so the digital space is something that I've always been a part of. We are doing some really cool things. I've always been fortunate to work with some really talented technical people that can take what's in my head and make it kind of come to life. I mean, so this was 1997 and we were building dynamic newsletters. So people could go online and type in their headlines and newsletters and push a button and update it. That sounds rudimentary and ridiculous to say now, but in 1997, that was like unheard of. So it was like we were doing like really cool stuff, and sort of taking marketing and applying it to technology has always kind of been a passion of mine and a thread throughout most of the jobs, either entrepreneurial or corporate, that I've been a part of.
Wow. Yeah, and so tell us a little bit about your podcast because I think that's pretty interesting.
My podcast is, I guess you could, it's that's my fun. That's like my passion. That's what, I love going to Comic Cons. That's always been my thing. It's something that I do every year, multiple times a year. I love talking to celebrities that maybe aren't at the height of their celebrity and like they're hanging out and they'll hang out with you. My wall is, you can see some of them in the background, but and then my other wall, I've got pictures. It's just me. Like I've just always loved it. And so when I started my podcast, it's called Classic Conversations, and it kicked. I just celebrated 3 years, and I'm about to hit my 250th episode this coming Monday. Burt Ward, Robin from Batman, TV's 66 Batman, and so, but that's who I love talking to, like people that I watched on TV when I was growing up. I've had Isaac, Gopher, Doc from The Love Boat, Mrs. C, Potsy, Ralph Malph from Happy Days. Like Kato Kalin's been on my podcast, and then I've had
Wow.
some really cool comedians, and I have this thing where I like talking to the people like Burt Ward, who were like the first Robin, and I talked to Nicholas Hammond, who was 77 Spider Man, and I've talked to John Wesley Shipp, who was the Flash, in the late 80s, so I love kind of doing that too, and just anybody, and it's like it's interesting. because I was, you talk to all these really interesting people, and most of the time they have a book or something like that. So I really dive in, and I think I don't want to say what I'm known for. I do a lot of research. I really do. I do a lot of research and prep for. And this is one of the things like at podcast conferences I speak on is like I I do a lot of prep and I talk about how important it is to go in with that 1 hour you're going to spend with someone to really know who they are and that they appreciate that. And that's really the path to getting a really great interview from someone. When they understand that you spent the time, then you start to get stories that other people may not have gotten. So I just, it's just one of those things. I love it. I love it. I've sort of stopped doing stand up comedy. I did that for close to 20 years just because,
Wow.
once the pandemic kind of hit and that kind of put it on pause for everyone, that's when the podcast kind of took over, and the podcast takes up so much time. There's only so much you can juggle. And so generally that's now my focus. But doing professional stand-up comedy was something I loved doing for close to 2 decades.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, we got to hang out some in Lima, Ohio, which I'm still trying to figure out, right? You got Lima, Lima, but they're spelled the same. I don't know how we get these different
We'll
sayings,
never know. It's like GIF or GIF. We'll never
right?
know which is the
Right.
right one.
But but I think it's interesting as we'll get into the Instagram is so you got recruited by Little Caesars Pizza. I mean, how did that happen? And is that really what really got you into understanding Instagram and some of this other social stuff? I mean, I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, my path to Little Caesars was they were at the infancy stage of moving into the e-commerce world, which wasn't that long ago. But if you're familiar with that pizza chain, the awesomeness of Little Caesars is you walk in, it's hot and ready, you pay $5 and you leave. So e-commerce and digital wasn't their thing because it just wasn't their thing. And so, but then they realized, with Domino's and everyone else, that it's probably not a bad idea. So before that, I had done a lot of stuff on Twitter. I hung out a lot on Twitter. So right now I'm going through the stages of depression and loss, but when it comes to Twitter, but but with Twitter, so we had a community on Twitter called #Roundup, and we had between a couple sites we had close to 70,000 followers, and we would do hashtag games. So they're call and response games, basically. Hashtag marriage in 4 words, or something like that, and people would play. And in the early days, there would be lots of brands would jump on and play because these were friendly ways for them to engage socially on social media. So over the time, that's right, Catherine. Over time, we trended organically close to 10,000 hashtags from
Wow.
2015 till the beginning of this year, and worldwide hundreds of and they stopped tracking worldwide, and then we would work with brands to do that as well. And one of the things that we did with #Roundup was because games were starting every say 90 minutes, we built an app. We built a #Roundup app that you could have on your phone, and it sent a notification to your phone when a new game started, because my
Hmm.
problem was I never could keep up when they started. So we sort of solved that problem with when does something new start on Twitter, and send them to buzz them on the phone, and then you go to Twitter and you can engage. Because what we found is when a lot of people are doing the same thing at the same time, you can have that trend potential. And there was one time, I mean, we had like 4 of the top 10 trends in the United States at the same time going
Wow.
on. I mean, there was a heyday before the politics in 2020 really started to I think weigh on Twitter a lot. But we would we would prep social teams with the where we were going to go with the game so they could prepare, because we would tell them if you get in early, you can ride the wave up, and
Mm.
then it can get exposure for your brand. So there was a lot of cool stuff. The technology that we later implemented on Instagram was originally built for Twitter and still
Oh.
works for Twitter, but who can afford the Elon Musk
Oh, yes,
API
the
prices?
API cost
Yeah.
has gotten quite expensive, I understand.
Right. So So do you do what you do on Twitter? Yes, if you can afford it. But I don't think
Yes.
Catherine likes Twitter anymore.
Yeah. Well, she does like Twitter, and I think we all do, but I think, like you said, unfortunately, there's been a lot of changes, and, um, not to get too far off topic, because actually it's related to Instagram, but, I believe tomorrow they're launching a new tool called, I think it's called
Threads.
Threads,
Yeah.
and that's gonna supposedly be a Twitter competitor. So, do
I'm
you know
interested
anything
to see
about it?
how it plays out because Instagram and Twitter are very different. I mean, it's
Yes.
like you don't think like you're never on Twitter and go, "This would be amazing on Instagram," or vice versa. You really, never once in a million times that I've been on either platform does that cross your mind, right? And I always hated when people would auto post from Instagram.
Yes.
I think they fixed it at some point, but it never made sense to me to auto post to Twitter from Instagram and it's a link and then you have to click on the link to get to the image.
Yes.
You'll find
Yes,
that
that's exactly what I was
extra
thinking.
eliminating extra steps is
And then you're
something
like,
that
"You're not really on Twitter, you're just posting your Instagram links to Twitter, so why should I
well,
even tweet with
it
you?"
just didn't make sense. Take the time. I think a lot of people with some of these the scheduling tools are amazing, but I think the some people get a little lax with the I'll post these same things to the same thing at the same time,
Right.
right? It's the same version. I posted on Facebook and then it went to Twitter, or to Instagram. You can always tell because it reads like a Facebook post and it has links and stuff like that in the caption, which clearly are not clickable. So
Yes, yes. And Catherine says, "Why do something simple when you can make it complicated?"
exactly.
It's great to see Catherine's in Alabama, and, she's, quite our I call her a fan, I'm a fan of hers. She's a unicorn in her own way, and she does a lot of great stuff, definitely, and she's got a podcast as well. So great to see you today, Catherine. Hope you still got all your fingers and toes after the 4th of July. I know they always say, you know, the 3rd is the last day that some people are gonna have all 10 digits, so, um, but we'll
Yeah,
hopefully I
it's
haven't heard of
very
anybody
dangerous.
yet.
Sparklers are one of the most dangerous, and you give them
Yes.
to kids. Those things are like, don't quote me. Well, it's a Chat GPT stat. Those sparklers are like 7,000 degrees. I mean, they're hot, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, oof.
My wife was talking about that. She's like, "I never really liked those sparklers." Now they have these longer, I guess, wooden stick ones, but I don't know. I don't really see the point other than wanting to have kids have fire near their face or something, but
Right.
but, so let's kinda get into the Instagram. So what for a like, say for a business, maybe you've just started out, and it's like, what are some of the keys you think to really getting Instagram to work? Because I know they've keep changing things, right? Back in the day, there was no stories, and now they've got stories, they've got reels. I think you even talk about that you have a tool that kinda is like the link in bio killer, I guess I would say.
Yes, yes. I don't want to say that I'm necessarily like the Instagram expert in terms of what you should post and what your images should look like and stuff like that. Um, I use Instagram a lot, and based on when I was at Little Caesars and personal time and working with agencies, came up with the concept of what Stampede Social became, which is a tool that sort of supplements or bolts on to what you're doing on Instagram to kind of fill in the gaps and fix all the things that people love doing on Instagram in terms of campaigns and getting content to people, but that are frankly a pain in the butt to actually do, execute, manage, or measure. And we believe at Stampede Social that our tool fixes all that. It fills in all the blanks. And
Hmm.
what originally built as a tool for and tested against large brands, we then decided, you know what, we're gonna whittle this down, not whittle it down, but we're gonna create um, what do you call them? Layer. I'm losing the word, and then I'm live. Now I'm freaking out. No, we created different, stages where for a creator, creator level, different levels. That's my word. I lost the word, and different levels for creators, so that they could use it, have the power of a corporate level machine, at their
Hmm.
fingertips for for a reasonable expense to help them drive traffic to their content. So we figure, like some of the things that we mentioned, like as a content creator, we're like, all right, so now we're like, built by creators, conceived by creators, now for creators. So put the power into the hands of the creators, where all the different and little details that make up Stampede Social um, just really can really make a difference for the creator when leveraging Instagram. And Instagram's kind of where we're starting. We started actually with Twitter, but now we're focused on Instagram. And as new platforms have APIs that allow us to kind of build on the platform that we built, we're going to be expanding it to multiple social media platforms as well.
So in terms of what you're doing then with Instagram, are you really like helping people? Is it more about building awareness, or are you actually getting to that conversion stage?
It's a full conversion tool. So I think of it as like an Instagram disruptor tool. So the
Okay.
one thing on Instagram that people want to do is get people to content, right? If you're a content creator, I'm a podcaster. I want to get them to my podcast episodes. You may be running a sweepstakes and want to get them to a registration form. You may be a blogger and you want to get them to your blogs, right? You may be a news organization. You want to get them to this particular article that this particular post is referring to. Right now, you say, hey, okay, more information, link in bio. And now the problem is they're there. They were at your thing. Now you're asking them to leave. And link in bio either is one of the, one or up to 5 links that you have, or it's a lot of links and you got to find it, or it's a page that looks like a web page version of your Instagram. So if it literally wasn't the last post that you were engaging with, you got to now hunt and find it. And then, it creates a whole weird path once you click on it. So with Stampede Social, we just built a mechanism that creates engagement at that post level or reel, or when you're in an Instagram live or an Instagram story, or it can be direct to DM. So the same post, if you wrote this amazing pizza blog, you just say, hey, comment below #pizza, and I'll DM you a link to the blog. They
Hmm.
comment #pizza. They now get a DM with a link to the blog. That link, what's unique with Stampede Social and that link that we sent to you is, I know I sent that link to Jim. I know I sent that link to Jim because you responded to this particular post. I know when you did it, right? And I know if you clicked on it. And when you click on it and it goes to the blog, if it's a registration form or something like that, we send a UTM, you can capture it, and now you can prove attribution that it came from that as well. So you can do a
Wow.
full round robin. Now, extrapolate that over time where you're running multiple campaigns and driving multiple people to multiple pieces of content, et cetera, et cetera. You can now start to look and go, oh, these are my top engagers. These are the people that are engaging with me the most. These are the posts and the content that drove the most conversions and engagement. And, so you can start to really understand everything that's happening. Like I think it was just said, like if I go to link in bio and I click, it's an anonymous thing. You don't really know. I mean, you can look
Right.
at your Google Analytics and go, oh, I had some more impressions or views, but this way you actually know who did it. I know that Jim was interested in these 5 podcast episodes of mine because the other thing that Stampede Social does, which is extremely unique, is every comment that comes in from a post, because we monitor your posts for you once you hook up with us, is it collects it. So I have one influencer that uses the system. They have over 6,000 comments in their database, right? So
Wow.
imagine being able to download all your comments on Instagram and then being able to kind of analyze those and look at them. And our next step is building AI tools to help you do that. But right now we make it accessible with the click of a button. So because of that, also when you can do post level giveaways. You know what I mean? Like, how people like comment
Right.
below, and so now because everything comes in as a live searchable database, we have a built-in winner selector. You just
Wow.
push a button and it says, oh, here's your winners, here's your winner list. And so it does all these cool things. With Podfest, we help them track user generated content. So anyone who uses the
Mm.
hashtag Podfest and tags Podfest Expo pulls right into Stampede Social. So they know at any given time, oh, these are the posts and reels that people are posting and using our hashtags and tagging us. So it makes it real simple for them to do that as well. So it has like all these really cool features that really make up like this uber massive creator tool to really kind of put a lot of really neat things in people's hands that they weren't able to do before. Because it's not just
Wow.
like a trick, right? It's not just an automation. There's a lot of cool reporting. There's a lot of cool things underneath it that you have access to that you just don't have access to anywhere else.
Wow. Yeah, and so I guess too, I mean, because I will tell you, I find this really intriguing because of some of the stuff I'm doing with Amazon, right? It would be nice to be able to post stuff that, that is Amazon products that we're reviewing and be able to kinda track that, okay, this post is actually working, or we're getting, maybe we're gonna do a giveaway of something. We do get some of these companies that want us to do giveaways, but we can't do them on Amazon. So this could be a great way for us to maybe, build up our following just by doing some of these giveaways as well, because
Right.
you hear about people doing that stuff on YouTube, but to your point, Instagram's always seemed like it makes it harder to do.
Right. And that's why. So we want to make it real easy. So in your scenario, you could go on Instagram, post something about Amazon that you're interested in, create that call to action. They comment below, and then they get a DM with that link that'll take them right to your Amazon. We don't care where you're sending them, right? I mean,
Right.
so you send them wherever you want them to go, and now that's all trackable. So in our reporting, you know exactly how many people clicked and went to your Amazon thing. So you actually can have a good pulse of how a campaign is doing. We actually give you, let's say it was I don't know, like Amazon Ring. You were just selling a ring, or something.
Right.
And so you, with every campaign you set up, we give you kind of a static link for that campaign. And then you could take that link and put it in on LinkedIn or in email or Twitter or anywhere. And so when they click on that, it does the same redirect. So then in the same report, you know that how many, how successful all your social posts were, because it can kind of aggregate right in. We, for a large insurance company, did something for them, and they took our link, put it in the TikTok link in bio everywhere else besides Instagram, and we were able to track like 25,000 clicks right to their registration form that they never would have ever had, credit for, because maybe if they had taken the time to go to every single instance where they put it. But we just make it real simple. It just all kind of goes right into the report of how your campaigns are doing. So
Wow. And Catherine's got a question. Do you help form the social post to get the most attention?
we are not taking over as your creative agency, but I I do kind of look at things that people do, and when they're using Stampede Social, and offer suggestions. So it's a matter of, when you do a call to action with a caption specifically, you got to keep it high up in the caption. Got to
Mm,
assume people aren't reading below, right?
right.
And so it also is sort of, you got to train your audience that you have this new thing going on, right? They're not gonna maybe notice it immediately, but over time they'll kind of get it. And so, but it's about just kind of calling it out and taking the approach that you're offering this white glove service now to them. You don't have to go somewhere else. The interesting and cool thing that we found, which I didn't expect, but like the click through rate's over 100%, which is crazy. But like, it's because, one, they've requested the link, and two, now they know where it is, right? And like, think about like every time you save something, like you bookmark something, or I don't know where my saved articles are on LinkedIn, but I save a lot of them. But this is in your DM, so people can access it real quick and do that. And another cool thing that we love about Stampede Social is, when you sign up in your profile, we give you a QR code. So like, when I spoke at
Oh,
Podfest um, for my speech, at the end, I put up my QR code. I did hashtag slides. I said, point your phone at the QR code. It opens up my Instagram DM. Okay. And then I said, just type in hashtag slides. And the cool part about that is say if you're a speaker, if you just put up a QR code and it just goes to the web page, those usually get lost, right? I mean,
Right.
unless you're going to act on it right there. So the benefit is that it's in the DM, right? But if there's 50 people in that audience and 10 of them actually do it, you now know which 10 did it. And you know if
Wow.
they click through it. So you actually now have kind of a list of leads, right, that you can then follow up with after your speech and talk to them and follow up on interest and all that kind of cool stuff. It's really it's fun. I like talking about this. So I get a little excited. So, but
Yeah, well,
um,
that's why we brought you on. I like to bring people on that are excited about what they're talking about and not bored and like, why am I here?
so
But
well, I was just gonna say the other cool thing that um, in terms of attention on a social post, Catherine, is what one of the cool things I think we did was we monitor your posts. So what that means is you can click into the post, and as comments come in, you can respond to those comments from Stampede Social, right? So if you don't have an inbox management tool, you're not paying for that. Now you have also, in addition to all the other cool stuff, you have a way to actually engage with people. And then here we built in some AI tools where, so if a comment comes in, you can get an AI response and you can set your tone and your theme. And the cool part about that is it responds to the comment in context to the caption,
mm,
right? So it's not just if you just go amazing to a post about the Lima conference, it'll go, it is amazing. We can't wait to see you in Lima, right?
wow.
Because it knows what you're actually referring to, and so it's little cool things like that that we just really are excited to help creators focus on what they want to do, which is create and not have to deal with a lot of these things. So um, it's fun creating it, and it's fun just letting people use it.
Yeah. So Jeff, you've got me intrigued. So one of the things that's, I guess you could say, been a frustration of Instagram is what I like about stories now is, right, we can put the link in the story and, theoretically people will go click it and, maybe they'll buy your thing or sign up, but at least you can put a link there that's visible as opposed to like, hey, go to the link in my bio. But with Reels, it's like, gosh, I'm doing this video, but I'm like, how do I get people to, take action? So you basically, by using Stampede Social, I could actually get maybe the same sort of result I'm getting with stories with Reels?
Yeah, you can in a reel, you could be either doing the video, you put it in the video or in the caption and go, hey everyone, yeah, just comment below hashtag Amazon Ring, and I'm gonna send you a link right to our special deal on Amazon. And boom, there, now you have it. Now, the only
Wow.
benefit to doing it also on stories is you have to kind of think about what's the psychology of someone finding your information and wanting to deal with it at that moment, right?
Mhm.
So with stories, I love that link too, and I use it as well. And but you can also then say, or if you want to listen later, or if you want to check it out later, just comment below hashtag Amazon Ring. I'll send you the link. You can get to it when you get to it. So there's sort of like that kind of element to it as well. But it also what works during an Instagram live event. If you go live on Instagram, you could be like talking to everyone, showing them and talking about this ring product, and then go comment Amazon hashtag Amazon Ring, and then that'll automatically send them a link to your product on Amazon. So you could be doing
Right.
it that way too. We collect all the comments that come in during a live event too, which is unique, so that you don't have to. So you can really understand who's engaging with you live as well.
Right. And so with the hashtag though, I guess because right, we don't own a hashtag. It's tied specifically to them using it on your account, right? So, like, even if I said, "Hey, use the hashtag podcast if you wanna, get a link to our latest episode," or whatever, that works? Am I hearing it right?
Yeah, it's only specifically. There's really two elements. Any automations, even on Twitter or um, on Instagram, there's really two elements in play, which is the hashtag and the at to the brand, right? And so a reply is an applied at. So when you comment to a post, I'm replying to
Uh,
Jim, right? But I'm just using the hashtag because the reply is sort of invisible. You don't really see it. But under the hood, it's there. So that's why on your post it would do it, but a random person using your hashtag would never receive it on their timeline because they one, they're not set up to allow us to even send DMs on their behalf. But that's just not how it works to prevent spam and unwanted DMs, etc.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's really I really like that. I think this is definitely eye-opening to me. I think definitely something I'm going to have to take a look at because I have not heard of any other tool that that does this. So maybe maybe you're onto something, Jeff.
I think I am. I hope so. There's it's sort of like a bunch of pieces of a lot of great things kind of put together, then made what I think a little better to really kind of help people out. I mean, that's really the goal here is just to help creators just focus and get their stuff out there. That's one of the things like is the podcast side of me, which we talked about earlier, that, what I use and hopefully try to make it easy and are all constantly testing it and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's
Right. Now, do you see this tool expanding to other platforms? I guess you technically said, I guess maybe you were using something similar to this, or this was kind of generated with Twitter. Do you see this as being something you could use on other platforms, or is it really Instagram specific at the moment?
right now the suite of tools is Instagram specific because we think it really solves the biggest need, which is URL delivery, which on
Mm,
Facebook and stuff like that, you can just put links there to drive people. There's no reason to say, "Hey, do this and I'll give you a link," right?
right.
Um, so on Instagram there is, right? So looking for we're looking at other platforms for other things. Like so from a creator point of view, we'll be able to pull in your TikTok stats soon,
Mm,
right? You're not going to be able to necessarily do anything beyond that just now. Just a lot of times it's whatever they allow as well.
right.
But that might be helpful because, like in Stampede Social, every post that we monitor, you can pull down your stats and see your impressions and all that kind of stuff. And that's a really key report to be able to have access to. So we're going to kind of expand it a little bit that way as well. And then pulling in comments once we um, once we have our next really phase is also AI, like really kind of pointing even more AI to it. At our highest level, we have competitive analysis. So you can put in your competitor's Instagram account, it'll go read their captions and then provide a marketing analysis back to you of what your competitors are doing.
Right.
So it's things like that. And then, if you have a post that gets a lot of comments, being able to point the AI report at that and give me an analysis of what people are talking about on this post, so you can start to get a feel for what do people feel about the Amazon Ring in our example,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so you can start to really understand those things as well. And the more you have access to your comments, you can start to really then use that for future post ideas and themes and things that people are talking about can be converted to hopefully successful new content that you do later.
Right. And now I guess even have you guys been looking at Instagram? I guess it's been a little bit the broadcast channels where I guess you're now capturing people into a group that you can communicate with directly. Is that I guess that'd be something too. You could get more people like, whatever you want to call it, say hashtag channel. It would send them the link to sign up for your broadcast channel because I think sometimes that's not something that people automatically see because I think once again that's like a link up in the bio that they have to think about.
Right. Been playing with it. To get them to sign up, that's definitely a use because there's a link involved to drive them to that link. Once you're in there, I think comments are usually turned off. Like maybe you can like something or something like
Yes,
that.
yeah, they can vote. The one thing I do like about the broadcast channel is that it will let you provide something with a link in there, and that's where I saw the benefit of the broadcast channel. But you know, you can have a huge following on Instagram, but you got to get them to go to your broadcast channel, and then you worry about is it this like, oh my gosh, Jim is broadcasting to me every day. It's too much, and then they don't want to be in your channel anymore.
It's hard to move people from one thing to another.
Right.
It just is. And if I'm already on your Instagram, now you want me to be on a different part of your Instagram. You know what I mean? It's like just make like I get it for like I think it's great when like the at creator, like so I understand like when they push new stuff. It's great for that. But if I'm already following you on Instagram, how much different content are you doing now there versus that? You know what I mean? Like it's hard, right? It's hard to move your Twitter following to Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do any of that kind of stuff. So um, then again, like you said, am I blasting too much on that one? Because I'm also doing this, how much is too much, Jim?
Right. Right.
Or whatever.
I know that's a really good question. And I don't know if I want to know the answer.
Let's go to the chat.
Yeah. So Jeff, this has been an amazing conversation. Um, can you tell us, I mean, what would you like people to consider? I mean, I've got your where they can follow you. What would you say is the next step they should consider if they want to know more about what you're doing at Stampede Social and or about this tool?
Oh, well, I'd love for you to check it out. If you go to, stampede.social, that's our website. And you could head over to, you can check out the case studies, the blog, see if it resonates with you. If it is, you can head over to the pricing page that has the different plans that you can choose from. Plans, that's the word I couldn't think of earlier. And you get a 14-day free trial. If you use the code Jim and Tim 50, you can have 50% off for life. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I have that set up through the end of July. So I
Jim
did
and Tim
Jim
50.
and Tim because Tim didn't show up.
Let me share that right now on the screen here. That's awesome. So did I spell it right?
Yes, yes. So you just add that in, you get 50% off forever, whichever plan you want. And then, check it out. But you can have 14 days free no matter what. You can do that. It's easy to cancel. I'm like a big deal. Like I hate when you do a subscription and you're like,
Right.
oh, if
Now
you,
you gotta call somebody and
yeah, you
tell
got
them
to
why you're
call
canceling.
on the, oh, we're only on the West Coast and we're only open for an hour on Wednesdays. So it's like, forget it. And I think it's important to be able to love it or leave it. And so, it's all set up that way. And, I know Jim. So if you ever need to get a hold of me, you could as well.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Now this has been great. I appreciate you showing up today. I mean, can't always be easy the day after the 4th. You never know what people were doing. They were celebrating America a little too much, but and thank you, Catherine, for being here today. And she had some good questions, and you've added to her to-do list now. I'm sure she's going to be checking this out as well as I definitely plan to check this out because you've got my brain spinning now, Jeff. So thanks for that.
All right, that's it. Brain spinning. I just there won't. But until I end up in your opening montage, I cannot consider this a win.
Well, could be coming up sooner than you think because we are going to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary of the show in
Ooh,
August. So
dude,
that's
that's
one of those
impressive.
things
That is
we have to do
impressive.
that. But
That is really
but
impressive.
but great to have you here today. And yep, she's already checking it out. And don't forget that code, Catherine, Jim and Tim 50 for life, right? So hopefully you live a long time,
Yeah,
make a lot of money off of Jeff that way.
as long as you want to use.
All right, everyone. Well, we'll see you next week here on the Tim and Jim show. And our guest will be Linda Ray, and she is going to definitely be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about some business stuff. So take care, everyone. Thanks again, Jeff, and say hello to your lovely wife for us as well.
I will. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
See you, everyone.